Sometimes people are their own worst enemy. A little while ago, I spoke about an incident where a pilot had been charged with dangerous flying after crashing on a beach after an engine failure, and the discomfort that I felt with that prosecution. And today I want to talk about another pilot who's been prosecuted after his plane crashed on a beach on Christmas Eve 2021. Now, I want to emphasise that the details that I give here are based on media reports that I've read, so I can't necessarily vouch for their accuracy. The pilot took off on a private leisure flight in experimental category light aircraft with one passenger on board. Shortly after takeoff, the aircraft had mechanical trouble and crashed during an emergency landing on Ball Bay Beach in Queensland. The 83-year-old passenger was killed in the crash. The 67-year-old pilot is currently facing charges of flying without a valid licence, conducting maintenance work on the aircraft that he was not authorised to perform, and flying without satisfying safety requirements. He was also initially charged with manslaughter, although that charge was dropped by the prosecution. At a committal hearing in the Mackay Magistrates Court this month, the pilot walked out of the courtroom during the hearing, saying that the Civil Aviation Act was unlawful and did not apply to him. Prosecutors had previously described the pilot as holding sovereign citizen type beliefs and not acknowledging that Australian law applied to him. The pilot was subsequently arrested and brought back into the courtroom. His bail was ultimately extended and he was committed for trial in the Queensland District Court. Now, unlike the previous incident that I spoke about, based on the media reporting that I've seen, if the pilot has acted in the way that has been alleged, then it seems to me that this prosecution is entirely appropriate. The conduct shows a reckless disregard for safety that cannot be tolerated. His alleged behaviour before the court also demonstrates a very worrying attitude that rules don't apply to him, which is in itself is a risk to aviation safety. I've unfortunately had clients like this, and they really are their own worst enemy, and there's limits to what you can do to help them. We talk a lot in Just Culture about the negative effects of blame and punishment on a workplace culture, particularly organisational learning. 95% of the time, I would say, blame is not an appropriate or effective response when things go wrong. There are better forms of accountability. But it is important to recognise that there are some cases where blame maybe is appropriate to deter behaviour that cannot be justified, and where the person involved is not open to learning or restoration. And this would appear to be one of those cases.